And I do think, Nick, he'll go to Grand Slams now in a different frame of mind, even considering his defeat to Dimitrov at the Australian Open this year.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there were, I did that match with Dimitrov. There were circumstances around that where he was tired. I think the match with Kyrgios 2 nights before that took a lot out of him. Obviously, there was a lot of trauma that night, 5 sets. He definitely didn't look himself against Dimitrov at all that day. Dimitrov used the slice effectively, drew a lot of errors out of Thiem. He just looked flat. And I think afterwards he suggested there was a bit of tiredness. And, I think we've got so used to, Jonathan, as you said yesterday, watching these 3 or 4 guys dominate at the majors and make it look simple, making finals and semi-finals just part and parcel of what you do. But probably going forwards, that's not necessarily going to be the case. That level of consistency is not impossible to try and reproduce, when you're playing 4 majors a year.
Well, this man, Aslan Karatsev, was world number 253 when the tour resumed in August. I mean, that is almost unbelievable. 253. To go from that to, in less than 6 months, reaching a Grand Slam semi-final and being a top 50 player and looking like he deserves his place at that level, Nick. I mean, occasionally you get freak runs, don't you, from players who just have the week of their lives. But you watch this guy and you think, well, how were you ever 253 in the world?
Yeah, for quite a while as well. It wasn't, as you say, it wasn't like he was, he was just starting his way on the tour. But he's been down there for quite a while, 5, 6 years. Suddenly, then that big breakthrough. As I mentioned, the fact he's talked a lot about how actually going to the States in April and May had helped him, because Harry Chickmer is an American TV producer who was a good tennis player himself, and he put on a little private tour over in America in April and May. He invited a select group of players. This guy heard about it, got in touch, and he was able actually to play a lot of matches over that period. Now, I'm not saying that was the key factor, of course it wasn't, but that certainly helped him over that period a year ago during the pandemic, when everyone else was kind of scratching their heels. He was able to compete a lot, get a lot of matches, and has come out, as you say, at another level.
The run in Melbourne just included some extraordinary days. Beating Diego Schwartzman, one of the players of the last 12 months, in straight sets. Epic 5-setter with Felix Auger-Aliassime, Dimitrov from a set down. Even the match with Igor Gerasimov, only allowed the Belarusian 1 game. Watched that back the other day. I was doing a Gerasimov couple of matches in Montpellier. I just wanted to cause I didn't see it at the time, just wanted to see what happened. How's that even possible? Gerasimov did nothing wrong. Karatsev just blasted him off the court. And in his opening round match here, Karatsev, against the Qatar wildcard, he didn't need to get out of second gear. So here's Karatsev near end to start this second round match.
A nice position now as well. You hear a lot of players who talk about when they make a big breakthrough like he has. I mean, his was unusually big, but obviously the jump that he made, he's basically got a free run at it now for the next 12 months in terms of points, because he can only add to his tally. So he is, he can feel a little less pressure. But at the same time, obviously he's playing at a higher level, so he runs into guys like this early in events.
I suppose the flip side of that is because he is playing at a higher level, he's able to get into bigger tournaments, which means even just winning a round or two is like winning a couple of tournaments at the level he's used to.
Absolutely.
Big opportunity over the next few months.
Financial pressures are off as well, aren't they? I mean, Not much was made of his prize money, of course, over the course of his career, but now suddenly he's picked up a cheque for nigh on $1 million. He's not, you know, doesn't have that burden on his shoulder either, does he? He can... Stress is kind of put to one side as well.
Lovely angle created by Karatsev there with the backhand. We got to look at a moment ago at his coach, who was the figure in the blonde hair, with the blonde hair to the right of the previous shot, Igor Yaksik, who really does believe in his man. Talked during the Australian Open of Karatsev being a top 20 player sometime soon. Oh, he's heading in the right direction.
Karatsev. First game.
He did say that he was going to take quite a big break after the Aussie, but of course, wildcards, when they are available, as the one was here, I'm sure will be offered his way.
I wonder how different it actually feels for him though now, you know, just in a space of a couple of weeks to have gone from challenger player, earning hardly any money, not enjoying this sort of company, to suddenly getting a wild card into one of the big events and playing a Grand Slam champion.
I would imagine the journey that he's been on would make him feel very good, because, you know, when you've been grinding away for 5 or 6 years with aspirations to be playing at this level, you're going to enjoy it, aren't you? This is what you've been playing for, to play on these courts.
Nicholas Massou watching on, team's coach.
Who, of course, was not in Australia due to testing positive for COVID.
40-15.
He wasn't able to make the trip. He was stuck in Miami, back on the road.
So first tournament of the year for them. This is team's first match since Melbourne.
Again, team. One game on.
Great partnership though. Had a lot of success in the time they've been working together. Massou, the great Chilean former top 10 player. Double gold medalist from the Olympic Games of 2004 in Athens.
59.
One of the most extraordinary 24-hour periods of my life. My tennis watching life, Nick.
You were there, were you?
I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just the finals, the semi-finals that went on into the early hours, and back it came, and oh, you've got a doubles match to play now, Nico. All right, okay. Am I going for a medal? Yeah, you're going for a medal. Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you don't mind, back on for singles. Medal for that one? Yeah, medal for that one as well. And you're left with 2 golds. Here's the thing about those 2 goals. In a 24-hour, I think it was something like a 27-hour period, he won 2 gold medals. Chile's only 2 Olympic gold medals.
Incredible.
What a thing.
And of course, the story as well is he hadn't won a match in singles on hard all year. That's going right. Into That's right. the singles event there.
Fernando
Gonzalez, his partner in the gold medal winning doubles team. Extraordinary reception they received when they went back to Santiago. Nice work from Karatsev.
Karatsev leads 2 games to 1.
Yeah, and of course, interesting to hear Dominic Thiem say that he's actually done a 180, isn't it, on the Olympics? Because for him, it was never important. He wasn't going to play it. But you suspect that the conversations over dinner that he's had with Nicolas Massu may well have just twisted his arm, that actually playing the Olympics is worthwhile.
Yeah. He should have a conversation with Andy Murray about that, because Andy Murray headed out to Beijing in 2008, rather inconvenienced because they played the Canada Masters event and Cincinnati. Then it was out to Beijing in between those 2 and the US Open. Sounds mad now, doesn't it? Yep. But that was the schedule.
Yep.
But Murray lost early and off he went to New York. And of course, he has not lost a singles Olympic match since, winning successive gold medals. So Aslan Karatsev looks right at home in this sort of company, on this sort of stage, and in this sort of match. And it's going to be hard for Thiem, isn't it? I mean, through the first round, isn't it?
Yeah.
They can't be particularly happy with that, can they?
Especially the type of opponent, isn't it? Because he's an opponent that will rush you. He's got pace, so he will make life uncomfortable. It's not like Thiem can settle into this match, is it? That's the difference. He's under pressure early because of the way Karatsev plays. He comes at you. That's the difficulty. Takes some strength. I mean, to hold his position as he has here, not to be pushed back by this forehand, because this is heavy, and yet he's held his position. Look at the open stance, outside leg.
$15-all. $30-15.
Mentioned the fact Karatsev played here in January in the qualies. I actually went back and looked through his record even deeper. He actually played 3 futures at this site at the end of January 2018, at December 2018. And a couple of finals.
$40-15. Game, Thiem. 2 games all.
So this is the first round of 16 match that we're seeing today, but it will not decide the first quarter-finalist. We know that already, and that's Andrei Rublev, the defending champion. After Richard Gasquet pulled out this morning, Nick, big shame for the tournament, though.
He's been struggling, hasn't he? Pulled out of the Australian Open as well. Last couple of years, he's spent more time on the sidelines than he would have liked.
So Rublev may only need to win 3 matches to win the tournament. And the way he's going at the moment, you wouldn't put it past him.
Well, it's perfect circumstances for him, isn't it, as well, as we mentioned yesterday, coming from Rotterdam. Physical week there last week. Just to have an extra day, just what he would have wanted.
$15 all.
This really has become, in many ways, the go-to volley on the men's tour these days. Guys move so well laterally, side to side, that positioning, that short first volley has become such an important shot as a finishing volley these days.
$15.30. $30 all. $40.30.
Team's taken up quite an aggressive position off the second serve. You can see where he is. He's right on the baseline, so the body serve actually is a good one if you can get it right. Just couldn't get out of the way of it.
Game, Karatsev.
Oh, he's playing well, isn't he?
Karatsev leads.
We continue to go with serve. We haven't had a deuce point so far, let alone a break point. And it's Karatsev ahead, 3-2, opening set.
Had good experience, didn't he, as well, as part of the Russian team at the ATP Cup. That helped him as well. Didn't play that week, but coming in there was able to obviously get a lot of practice time with Rublev and Medvedev in that slightly abbreviated ATP Cup this year.
Didn't they talk about him as their secret weapon?
Yes.
Well, he's not so secret anymore.
No, that's cat's out of the bag on that one.
You've got to love a rise from 114 to 42, haven't you? You know, just taking out a whole swathe of ranking that it takes some people 5-6 years to ascend through. Well, good to see the spectators once again coming into this Khalifa International Tennis and Squash Complex. A couple of thousand of them allowed in each day. Very well organised, very well separated in the stands.
Time.
And certainly there's going to be some atmosphere you would feel for the return of Roger Federer coming up very soon after this match. Federer talking about the idea of being a musician playing in a small bar rather than in a big arena. You still get a great atmosphere, he says.
Nice. A lovely shot, no panic at all, because it was a good defensive slice from Thiem. This one, he drew him forwards, a shot that maybe Thiem wouldn't have had a couple of years ago. This was a lovely little dink, just such clear vision.
The sort of shot, Nick, looks so easy in slow motion, but so hard to execute, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you've got to think as well, you know, you're moving up to it at pace, so that's the first thing you've got to deal with. You've then got to balance, you've then got to be stable, then you've got to change the grip to get for the actual shot. You've got to see where your opponent is. Decisions these guys have to make in such, you know, such a short space of time. You know, just another aspect to what makes these guys so special. Talk about the whys and wherefores of what's the strongest, the toughest sport to play, but this is definitely in the conversation.
Outmaneuver
his opponent anywhere near enough. You can see where Karatsev is. He's high up the court. That was played in an inopportune time. Clearly a tactic that they're going to use a lot today. He's going with the kick serve out wide a lot, isn't he, on the ad side? Try and push Karatsev off the court, open it up for him. He had a pretty good kick serve out wide as well, Nicolas Massu. So that he used to good effect. Slightly more dangerous shot to take on from that position. You're obviously hitting into a much smaller part of the court from there.
close, and he might go for a challenge, but the umpire seems to agree with the line judge.
15-30.
And that point for Thiem set up by a quite brilliant returner serve.
Good use of the slice as well to keep the ball a little lower on Karatsev. Make him hit up on the ball, so it's a more defensive shot.
Unlike
this one, which is in at a perfect height. You can see where he hits this one from shoulder height, exactly where he wants it. Come down on it from there.
$40-30. Mr. Karatsev is changing court right center service line, ball was got out. Goes in. Karatsev. New balls, please.
That's impressive from Karatsev from 15-30 in the game. And we continue on serve. The Russian leading 4-3 first set.
Quite found his optimum return position yet, has he? You know, I think the one thing we've seen from Thiem is that he is most comfortable sitting deep off the return. You know, you look back at where he played the Tour finals last year, he's a good distance behind the base on 2 to 3 meters, but today he's been changed up a little bit. He's gone up the court, trying to take the ball a little earlier, but hasn't quite found the formula yet. This guy's 9 of 10 points when he's made the first serve.
Well, those fortunate enough to be in on second in Doha today are kind of sport for choice at the moment, because there's so many matches to be played today in the round of 16 that there are simultaneous matches happening on 3 courts at the moment. Karatsev Thiem here on centre. You've got Bublik against Bautista Agut on court A. That's 3-all first set. And you've got Pospisil Shapovalov in the all-Canadian affair. That's on court B. Pospisil 4-3 up as that goes with serve. And any of those could be a centre court match. It's a really high quality draw in Doha this year. And here's the top seed, Dominic Thiem, serving new balls, 3-4.
It's getting a little windier as well here as the evening kind of just starts to forwards. So it gets a little cooler. It's been very warm here this week, and as I mentioned yesterday, temperatures expected to continue to rise towards the weekend. Fair, if you live in Doha, I suspect you probably don't look at the weather forecast too often.
No.
A lot of change.
40-15. 40-30.
Just cheating across. You can see he's moving to the left, waiting for the kick serve.
Ooh. You okay? Hopefully so.
Game team, 4 games off.
Yeah, it was bluff and double bluff then, Nick, wasn't there? He was moving across, but probably half expected Thiem to then go with the other one down the centre.
Yeah, because you could see where Thiem was. He'd actually stepped out as if to say, I'm going to hit the kicker. Ooh. A very nasty incident in the opening match of the day here with Thiem Quetz taking a ball to the eye. Cuts, quite a nasty cut, forced to retire. That was not a good situation.
Love 15.
That's the one thing, obviously, you know, we've talked about the positives for Karatsev, so many positives in terms of his position on the tour now, but one thing that has gone is the surprise factor, isn't it? You know, you players do know now what he can produce, and they're going to try and formulate some sort of game plan against him.
15 all. Net possession.
Well, it's a nice play from Thiem. Karatsev finding a nice groove from the back of the court. If the Austrian can play with that a little bit, move him into parts he doesn't want to experience, maybe he'll have some success. 30 all, big point at 4 games all. Oh, and again, Thiem trying to draw the Russian up the court.
40-30.
Karatsev will be very happy he didn't have to play a volley, because, as you say, he brought him forwards. It wasn't the best approach. Thiem would be disappointed not to have made him play.
Game. Karatsev.
So another game ends before any need to go to deuce. It's 9 in a row. And Karatsev leading 5-4 at this latest changeover.
He's not making tons of first serves, but when he is making them, he's certainly getting a fair few free points. 13 of 15 points so far, one behind the first serve. Much more of a flatter delivery. Thiem opting for a bit of a change with the kick so far out here. Mix it up a little bit.
There's 7 points Karatsev losing on serve. Thiem's only lost 6. There was the tumble in the previous game from Karatsev. Thankfully, showing no ill effects of that.
Time.
So Thiem at least once may well have to come out to serve to stay in this set. Here he is doing just that at 4-5. About that! What a magical moment from Aslan Karatsev.
And this is extraordinary.
Now 15.
Didn't look as though really there was much choice here. Thiem came up with it with the little slice grip here, little bunt lob. Look at this.
Now 13.
Well, on the first point of the game as well, Nick, you know, as your opponent is serving to stay in the set, this could really have a big effect. Yep, nice little thumbs up. And the rest. Yeah. Love 30. It's heating up.
15.
Generates so much power off his single-hander. Talked about Stan Wawrinka yesterday. This guy raises him. And that is some shot off the back foot, up the line, changing the direction of the ball. Karatsev waiting for the serve, wasn't he? He started to pick that kicker out wide, wait for it a little bit more. It's a good return.
Well played, Thiem. Terrific recovery in the game.
40-30. 5 games on.
Impressive hold from Love 30. You just wonder on that 15-30 point when Karatsev had the passing chance. Did he go for the harder option down the line, Nick? Was it open for him cross court? Will he look back on that as the key point in the game?
Yeah, may well do. Just actually looking at Thiem's record here. Of course, made the semis, didn't he, a few years ago? Forced to pull out against Monfils that year in 2018. If I remember rightly, he was sick that day. Take to the court. It was 2017, in fact. 2018 lost to Air Bear in the first round.
$15.
The change-up sitting much deeper off the return.
15
Of course, he's concerned that if he does that, he allows this man better court position, and of course we know how big he hits it. So in Thiem's mind, he's thinking, if I'm retreating too far back, I'm going to let this guy dictate, but he's obviously got to find the balance.
$30-15.
Doesn't matter where you stand, you're not getting that one back.
$40-15.
Thiem is having to do an awful lot of thinking out here. He's trying a few different things, but Karatsev is holding firm. Points for 6-5. Oh, it's big-time tennis. It's tennis from a man who's now at home at this level.
Karatsev leads 6 games to 5.
And the team would have known this was a challenge when the draw was made. He definitely knows it now.
Playing doubles this week as well, isn't he? Karatsev with his fellow Russian Andrei Rublev. Actually double dipping today because he's due to be out there in a couple of hours. We're on court number 1.
It's what I'd describe as heavyweight tennis, that, Nick. You know, there's nothing anyone can do about that when you're hitting it that hard and that deep.
Yeah, and as you said, it's what we saw in Australia. I mean, particularly the win against Schwartzman. I think that was probably the match that made people sit up. Yes, as you say, he beat Gerasimov for the loss of just 1 game, but it wasn't necessarily on TV screen. Suddenly he's on a big court, and the way he beat Schwartzman, that definitely made people sit up.
Well, Aslan Karatsev knows he's already made the ATP tennis highlights page with his through the legs tweener winner already today. Now, can he go on and claim the scalp of a top seed? The way he's playing, he looks more than capable of doing that. A lot of tennis still to be played out here. We're still in the first set. But Thiem knows he's going to have to work so hard here to deal with the Russian. Serving for the second time to stay in the set.
He's become very accomplished up at the net these days.
15.
Good digness from Karatsev. The eyes down nice and low. Watches it very carefully. Bit of nuance, isn't it? You talk about the power that this guy brings, but that's a great example of understanding the court position as well. I mean, he's hit one big one that's got Thiem pushing back, and then of course that opens the space up, and he sees it and has the ability just to change it up.
Game. Thiem 6 games over. Tiebreak.
Well, no sign of a break point. We didn't even have a deuce point in the regulation set, so appropriate therefore that we should decide this on a tie break. Well, you suspect it will all come down to 1, maybe 2 points at most. Karatsev to serve first.
One zero, Thiem. Mr. Thiem is changing the call right far side. And ball was called out.
First 2 points against the serve. Unless the technology overrules here, but I suspect by Thiem's... Oh, hello. Oh, he's got it. He's got it. So it's a clean winner.
Ball is overturned.
I was going to say, you suspect by Thiem's reaction that he had missed it, but should have been a celebration reaction. And just like that, Thiem 3-0 up in the breakout.
3-0.
A lot of variety off the first serve in this opening set.
3-1 Thiem. Three, two, Thiem.
Well, you admire Karatsev's ambition on the return, but because he stepped in and took it early, it actually left him in an awkward position to get back deep into his forehand corner. And Thiem exploited that.
So tough to, when you're hitting the ball sort of shoulder head height like he is off a kick that Thiem has, to be able to then control it with pace, with a bit of width. And as you say, because he takes it early, he in effect takes his own time away. He just doesn't have the time to get back in position. And that's one thing you need a bit of against this guy, given the weight of shot that he has. Use that kick serve frequently and effectively in this opening set.
Five, two, Thiem.
Still just the single point against the serve in the tie-break. Karatsev has to keep reminding himself of that. Will he rue that forehand miss on the very first point?
Five, three, Thiem.
Well, that's four first serves in a row that haven't come back from Karatsev.
Thiem.
Ooh, and we're back on serve.
Patient stuff, wasn't it, from the Russian? He waited for his opportunity, gave the one up the line, the backhand up the line. Some good shape, didn't go for too much.
He's done it, you know. He has done it. What a return of serve.
6-5.
He wasn't outthought here, was he? Because it looked as though Thiem would take it up the centre with the second serve, but Karatsev held his position, and again, just the earliness of the strike more than anything else that catches Thiem cold.
4 points in a row for this man, and the way he's been serving. He's hit 4 first serves in a row, none of which have come back. One more is all he needs.
Next service.
he's done it. Just as Thiem was really turning up the heat. How impressive is that? Not too many in the world can flip a tiebreak against Thiem in that way. From 5-2 down, Aslan Karatsev takes the first set.
And not too many in the world can either go toe-to-toe with Thiem or a rally, as we just saw, because he was crushing it, but he wasn't pushed back. He held his position. He was able to use the pace effectively. And what a turnaround that was. 5 successive points. Thiem perhaps not doing enough from a return standpoint today. That's the one area of concern I think he's going to have in terms of how he solves this problem. You might see him step back a little more, perhaps in the second, to get a few more balls back into play, but Karatsev was mighty impressive. He really was. And those numbers, defending the second serve well. All in all, a man playing at an elevated level, but playing with a lot of confidence. And the top seed in trouble.
Thoroughly absorbing first set of tennis here in this second round match in Doha. The tournament really living up to expectations. Here's the one to watch. Oh, it's as good second, third, fourth time round as it was the first. Thiem more than played his part, but that's no consolation when you're top seed. You don't want to be talked of as the guy who also added to the entertainment value. No, it's no use when you've been 5-2 up in the tiebreak and lost it. I was just looking back through the regulation set to see if there was a period when Karatsev won 5 points in a row, and there was, because he had one love service hold and won the opening point on the team serve in the subsequent game. But certainly in a set where serve was dominating and we didn't have any deuce points, to see a sequence like that at the end took everybody by surprise.
He's such a physical specimen, isn't he, as well? You know, as I mentioned, he's so tough to get off the baseline. I mean, this just made this pass look easy. Decent approach. Thanks very much. Just a little more central than Karatsev, I think, had counted on.
First game, second set.
Well, first match since the Australian Open for Dominic Thiem, and there's no easing his way into the tournament. By through round one, and this guy in round two. has not had a huge amount of luck there with the draw.
No, same could be said in Australia, really, couldn't it? I mean, obviously playing Kyrgios so early in that third round match. A match, of course, that he was down 2 sets to love. Looked to be completely down and out. Admitted himself in the third that probably had he have gone down a break, that would have been it. There would have been no way back, but in the end, came on out to win in probably what was the match of the tournament. Certainly the atmosphere of the tournament.
Love 15.
Also had Dad with him that week. He was a coach himself. Wolfgang, his brother as well. Been travelling quite a bit with him in recent times. Close family unit, teams.
Oh,
13.
2 in a row.
Fifteen, 30.
Yeah, we'll be happy with that. Just a little bit again, sense a bit of confusion. Just rushing him a little too much.
Much better from Thiem's point of view.
15, 40.
Got Karatsev where he wanted him.
Yeah, decent approach, but nothing more really. Didn't really get Thiem off balance, did he? And the Austrian just ripping the ball low at his feet, asking what he's got, and looking for that second opportunity that arose.
Thirty, 40.
He was so deep there that camera one had to widen their angle to find him.
Well, it's a couple of times in the game he tried the high loopier defensive ball, and on that second break point it worked for him. And we have the first break of the match. And the team comeback, if that's to be the case, starts right here.
To kick off a game and expect to get away with it. He made one first serve in that game as well, the Russian, so a little bit of a letdown.
Oh yes, Thiem on the run. Standing ovation, why not?
It was nicely played. It was a good little dink here as well from Karatsev. He did about as well as he could have done. Just couldn't keep it low enough.
Well, he's played really well, hasn't he, at the start of this second set? A set, of course, that he has to win. And Thiem, the top seed, in charge of set 2, leading 3-love. The right to play either Alexander Bublik or Roberto Bautista Agut in the quarterfinals. Bublik, who was very Bublik in the first round. Lots of variety, lots of unpredictability. Even an underarm serve on match point. That match being played over on court A. First of the outside courts, Bautista Agut with the first set 6-4, going with serve 4-3 in the second. The all-Canadian affair, Shapovalov won the first set 7-5 against Pospisil. 2-all in the second. So, wherever you look, wherever you go around the grounds here in Doha, there's fine tennis to be seen right now.
Shapovalov, one of those players that's been in the Middle East quite a while. He spent a couple of weeks in Dubai training at Patrick Mouratoglou's new academy that he opened last year there. Mikhail Yuzhny, his coach, in tow.
Another 15.
Got 3 double faults so far in this set from Karatsev. Only hit 1 in the first set.
Unusual technique he has on the serve, isn't it? Because obviously for most servers, they're actually the ball is actually sitting in the hands, but you can see as he releases it, he's actually coming with the ball underneath the hand. If you look close to the ear, look how he releases the toss. A little more from a kind of side angle. Quite unusual. Consistent ball toss though, that's one thing he does have. Of course, plenty of power to go with it.
40-30.
Spent much of his childhood in Israel, didn't he? And I noticed the Israelis were kind of wondering in some ways how he got away a little bit. He was in Israel from the ages of 3 to 12, this guy. Trained there before moving back to Russia.
Game, Karatsev. Team leads, 3 games to 1.
Probably weren't wondering that when he was 250 in the world, though, for 5 or 6 years as he was. Torn grips.
Classic Thiem. What a shot. Front foot aggression with the backhand.
You've seen that all too often, haven't we, in the last couple of seasons? Ability to create power, almost a half volley. I mean, not only is that powerful, but that requires some timing.
Making
a lot of first serves. He's taken the pace out of it and is just looking for a bit more accuracy in this second set. He's only missed the 2 in total.
Well, looking determined to come back and win this in 3. Dominic Thiem in fine form in this second set, 4-1 up.
Just 172 Ks, you can see that. That's way below on what he can hit it at. Just looking to hit his spots, maybe set up the +1 shot a little more often. At least we've got the speed gun today, Jonathan.
Yeah, that was a strange one yesterday, wasn't it? Who was they? Wawrinka, wasn't it? Decided that the speed gun wasn't measuring his serves correctly. Therefore, it was providing a distraction. And still to this day, we've got no idea whether it was or it wasn't. But because he decided in his mind it wasn't, he asked the umpire to get it turned off. And the umpire, not being one to argue with Stan, was straight on the walkie-talkie. Well, what's going on with the Karatsev serve in this set? We'll have a little look at that in a moment. Karatsev about to serve at 1-4 in this second set. He's lost 6 points in the set, 4 of them by double fault, after only hitting 1 in the first set. So Nick was talking about this sort of slightly strange hand position when he releases the ball. There doesn't seem anything obviously wrong with the ball toss, but something's clearly not quite clicking as he would like at the moment.
Yeah, maybe a little loss of concentration possibly as well, having put a lot into that opening set.
Needs to rediscover it here for sure, and fast.
His first serve percentage, just incidentally, during the Australian Open, he's averaging, was at 60%, Karatsev, which, as a barometer for the tour, given how much he's taking it on, it's probably still a little lower than he would probably like it.
15 all. 30-15.
Actually, in the 6 matches that he played this season, he's only served 20 doubles, Karatsev, and that's, you've got to remember, of course, that the majority of those are best of 5, so it's not like he's been serving a lot.
Game, Karatsev.
Another one in that game, but at least it was only the one, and he had enough good first serves, thankfully, from his point of view, to hold on for a second time in the set.
Love 15.
He's done well to get out of that. It was a good return from this guy, put him under pressure.
15 all.
Such a flat backhand Karatsev has, you know, it just comes through at you so low. And the pace on it, very difficult shot to deal with.
Perfect example.
15-30.
Starting to warm up again, isn't he, here? Find his rhythm once more.
Mm. 15-14.
Fantastic defensive return on the stretch from the Russian, forcing the forehand error from Thiem. 2 break-back points. First break points on the team's serve.
Net service.
Interesting to see where he goes here, because the wide serve's not had quite the effect it's had earlier in the match.
Views.
go down as an opportunity. Would have been a fine winner. I think Thiem probably would have had that covered had it landed in court, at least for one more shot anyway.
I think his mindset is so aggressive, Karatsev. It's hard for us to sit here and sort of say, well, he should have put the ball back in play, but probably on a break point in terms of what was on offer. Karatsev doing a good job of just getting on top of the kick serve. His position has shifted to the left. He's strong enough to be able to deal with it. As difficult as it is up there at shoulder height, he's got the strength.
Yeah, good move from Thiem. Just delayed it a little, so Karatsev was shaping for his shot, wasn't he, in the backhand corner when the stealth-like move came in. Making this not an easy shot, but he was in position for it. Game point. Keeps going for that, doesn't he? Keeps going for that serve, and now he's missing it.
Again, showing us that he's not all about the power, this guy. Yes, it was that part of his game that initially opened the court up, but the little bit of width that he's created on the last shot was very special. Suddenly just coming around the outside of the ball, exploiting a bit of room.
Advantage, Thiem.
It's the longest game of the match by a considerable distance. We'd only previously had 6-point games as the longest. This is now 12, and is Thiem hurting a little bit out there, Nick?
A couple of grimaces, weren't there? At the end of the previous point, I just wonder if he just overstretched, not that point, but the one before. Alex Stober, who's his physio, used to work on the tour, he's worked with many players, Alex.
Advantage, Thiem.
Good job from Thiem, because a long time ago he was 15-40 down in that game. Bit of a grimace again from the Austrian. We'll look at that closely, I think, over the next few minutes. 5-2. Just that forehand, wasn't it? Just sliding and stretching out to the forehand corner. Just a bit of flexing from Dominic Thiem on the right ankle. Nothing too serious. No treatment at the changeover. Hopefully he's absolutely fine.
Time.
Free enough to do a little crazy little juggling act there with the hydration bottle. And he's in good shape in this set, leading 5-2, recovering from 15-40 in that game.
This man's full-time travelling squad now, Alex Stober. For the top guys who can afford to travel, of course, with the physios. Tsitsipas has talked about that lately, how important his physio is to. He's now with him full time.
Oh, a bit of that, says Aslan.
40 now.
No half measures there, were there?
Game Karatsev. Team leads 5 games to 3.
Well, it's a luxury, really, isn't it? Which, let's be honest, only really the top players in the world can afford, I guess. If you're already paying for a coach, a salary, and a hotel room and a flight, having another full-time member of the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to want to make that investment in yourself, haven't you?
Sure.
I guess there'll have been some players over the years, maybe a lot of players who have thought to themselves, oh, well, I can't afford that. Can't afford 2 full-time members of my staff. That won't leave me with anything. Well, it'll be worth it if you're suddenly earning millions and winning big tournaments.
Yeah, too true. Recovery is such a big part of this sport now, isn't it? And the physical nature of it.
I was hearing in the business news the other day about one of the leading food delivery companies, which made almighty losses for yet another year.
Okay.
And yet it's one of the most well-known companies on the planet, Nick.
Right.
It'll be worth it when they sell it.
Mr. Thiem is showing the ball right past Aslan, and the ball was got out.
And this is a business. This is a business. Professional tennis. It's fun, sure. It's a sport, it's a pastime. Now, what's the tech going to say about this? Just out. Oh, not by much.
Kick off the serve again, just doing for Karatsev. Tough one is coming into his body like that to control it. You can see he's kind of always reaching for it. He's almost run through that one.
Well, he might as well keep running back to the chair, because the way this is going, Thiem 2 set points to level the match.
Again in second set.
And we have the deciding set that I think many in Doha were hoping for. It's been a highly entertaining contest. And Thiem playing well in that second set to level it up at 1-all.
Yeah, not much in it, was there? Just that opening game, really. As you said, those first couple of points, 2 double faults. Didn't do him any favours. A little bit of a drop in either in concentration or level or whatever it may be. A bit of a letdown after that opening set. Thiem doing a good job thereafter. Again, making a lot of first serves. I think we discussed about today. Clearly the tactic is to try and make it and use the +1 shot to try and get ahead in the rally. Hasn't always worked though, has it? See Karatsev behind the second serve, struggling a little bit in that second set. Overall, just 3 of 8 points, in fact, he was able to win. But, we thought this might be a close one. It's proving to be exactly that.
Again in second set. Thiem. By 6 games to 1. Final set. Karatsev to serve.
So it's every bit the match we hoped it would be. And after the close first set, which went to a tiebreak and won by this man, Aslan Karatsev, it's Thiem back in the contest with that 6-3 second set.
That's a good move.
Not 15.
Haven't seen him do that too often. That's an early return.
Love 30.
7 and 5 he was last season in deciding set matches. Thiem won 2 big ones, you remember, at the end of the year. One over Djokovic in particular at the Tour finals and the semis. That was a brilliant defensive slice from Thiem. It really was. He made it as uncomfortable as it possibly could have been.
Well played, Thiem.
Thiem,
The power, the deceptive power with that forehand,
first game and final set.
bundling the racket out of Karatsev's hand and achieving the early break, just as he did in set 2.
Just as he did in set 2, Karatsev in many ways paying for a lack of first serves. Just 2 in the game, didn't win a point behind the second serve. Allowing Thiem to look at building his way into the rally.
The Thiem showing all his Grand Slam champion quality. Didn't want to be defeated by losing a close tiebreak. A tiebreak, remember that he led 5-2. Has always kept believing. It's not that he played badly in that first set either.
Out. 15 up.
He won't know yet, but we know. Roberto Bautista Agut awaits in the quarterfinals. The Spaniard coming through against Bublik.
Champion here, last time he played here.
Up.
A couple of years ago now.
Walk it up.
Well, Karatsev is going to do exceedingly well to live with Thiem on this form. And from 2-love up in the final set, this would be quite a sensational comeback if the Russian could manage it. All the momentum right now is with the #1 seed. Talking of results from around the grounds here, Denis Shapovalov winning the All-Canadian affair, 7-5, 6-4 against Vasek Pospisil. He'll play either Taylor Fritz or David Goffin. They've just started. Goffin, superb last night.
Another big year for Fritz as well, to see if he can push on.
Walking up. Karatsev, new balls please. Team leads 2 games to 1.
So Karatsev holding on, but Thiem still ahead by a break. 2-1, third set.
What a difference a first serve makes, isn't it? I mean, you look at the match as a whole, 32 of 37 when he makes the first, and he's dipped below 50% on the second. So, you know, we talk about the margins being fine. Obviously, that's an area certainly where the Thiem hasn't particularly been able to find the key off the first serve return. But when he is looking at seconds, he's making a lot of it pay, especially as the match has gone on. need too many more wild cards. Of course, got a wild card here this week, but his ranking being top 50 now, he'll be getting into pretty much everything he chooses from here on in. Be interesting to see where he is by the end of the year, because as we know, it's been tougher to move up the rankings at the moment, given the system, the new one that's come in place with the 50% of the points from events that didn't take place last year. You have to factor that in as well. So in theory, he's got all to gain.
Nice view across the water here, the traditional mixing with the modern. Sunset.
Time.
And some fine tennis still to come on this third day of main draw competition. Under the floodlights.
I think that was the Museum of Islamic Art. They opened it here about a year and a half ago. It's a fascinating place. And though I didn't get to see it, but it was just open at the time, and I know it was a lot of years of construction went into that. Worth a visit, I'm told, if you are in this part of the world. Of course, they're building a new city to host a World Cup final, aren't they? Where that's going to be played, so that takes it to a whole new level.
Walk it out.
First point against the team serve in this set. Karatsev just throwing anything at it, you feel, at the moment. On that occasion it worked with the return. He has to keep believing out here. No reason he can't turn it around, although with team serving as well as he is right now, it's going to be tough. 3-1.
It's the accuracy of the serve, isn't it? It's making life so difficult for him. So well respected by his fellow peers is this guy. His work ethic, the way he carries himself, the humility that he has as well.
Love 15.
When he did win in New York, Nick, you know, to win his first Grand Slam championship, what was your hunch at the time? Was it that this would be the first of many, or that it could be a one-off?
I think it, for sure, whether many, I mean, define many, isn't it? I mean, I think, as we said earlier on, you know, winning sort of 15 majors is not going to, it's not going to be happening too often as we've been expecting it to over the last few years. But I think the French, obviously, everyone knows how good he is on a clay court, how close he's been there.
Well, let's just, for the purposes of this conversation, call many 5.
Okay, yeah, that was in my head.
5 or upwards.
I was thinking that as well.
Do you think he could win 5 Grand Slams?
Plus, yeah,
Okay.
I think that's I wouldn't be surprised given, where he's at now. And you've got to factor in as well where we're going to be in a couple of years from now in terms of, he's 27. Rafa's obviously doesn't look like he's going anywhere anytime soon, but at some point he's obviously got to tail off. Just 40 this year. Djokovic still playing arguably the best tennis of his career. Still plenty of challenges out there in front of him at the moment. Be interesting to ask him if he could sign for 5 right now, what he'd do. Suspect he'd probably take it.
Oh yes, you'd be very brave not to sign for that.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
That would mean you would have had an incredible career.
Yeah.
Use.
Keep himself physically in good health as well. It's another consideration. You never know what's around the corner. He's been able to stay relatively injury-free, hasn't he?
Mr. Karatsev is changing call right past that line. Goes called out. Consent. Advantage, Thiem. Mr. Karatsev has 2 challenges remaining. Mr. Thiem is changing call left baseline. Almost go down.
Yeah, the frustration of Thiem was evident immediately, and he's given him the point as well. Karatsev says he had a play on it, but because it was a half volley, he will have hit that before the call came, you would suspect. And Thiem, with a double break of serve, is now 4-1 ahead.
Yeah, just not quite been able to sustain his level, has he? Karatsev. Difficult as well when you're chasing the score. You go down a break early in both sets. Suddenly there's a bit more pressure. He's level pegging. He's able to free wheel a bit more, but first serve percentage has hurt him as well. This third set, as we say, you're not getting free points. He's not getting shorter balls either, so therefore he's not able to be as aggressive off it. It's sort of a learning process for him, isn't it? As we said, this is a totally a jump that's been meteoric for him, and now he's gone from playing challenges to playing guys top 10 in the world. You've got to match the intensity, you've got to match the mental aspect to go with it. It's a huge step up, obviously, that he has to compute.
That's why Thiem, I think, has been so impressive out here. Rock solid mentally, and now in firm control. Well, Thiem just watching back his own reaction to that break point, where his initial instinct was that his board hit the line, and yet it was one of frustration, I guess, presuming the point would be replayed. And definitely no players who would have kicked off more than Karatsev did about the awarding of the point to Thiem there. Not saying it was the wrong thing for the umpire to do, but definitely his protest was quite mild, I would say.
Which, to be honest, from what we've seen from him so far in his career, seems to be the way of it, doesn't it? He doesn't seem to get overly flustered about things. That may change, but certainly when he's been in the spotlight, he's dealt with it pretty well. Listen to his post-match interviews in Australia, he's exactly the same. One tone, almost nothing away, but...
He's enjoying himself. The serve ticking over beautifully. Just dropping the single point on serve in this set. Again, a couple of examples of this beautiful wide kick delivery with the first serve that has been so effective today.
Back-to-back weeks in the Middle East. His team, he's actually the top seed next week in Dubai as well. Noticed that Matteo Berrettini has withdrawn from that event today. Bad news for Berrettini. He's picked up that injury in Australia that's keeping him out. A shame for him considering how well he was playing as well down under.
It might be one of the last shots he plays in this match, and if it is, it's going to be one of his best. Lovely flick. Thiem about to serve for the match. Thiem ahead by 5-2. And yep, the Karatsev story this year will be one to follow. Look at that. Oh, gotta love a half-volley winner from the service line. Remember Federer playing one of those to win the second set against Andy Roddick in one of their Wimbledon finals, and it was one of those periods of a Wimbledon match where Federer was really enjoying himself and almost playing to the cameras. Federer will be backstage right now, preparing for his first competitive match since the end of January last year. Federer against Dan Evans from Great Britain on the way. Not before 6 o'clock local time on the order of play, and we are now at 6 o'clock local time. We're just going back briefly before he serves for the match to that conversation we were having about Thiem and Grand Slams. You know, important that these players, especially in this era of all eras, don't define themselves by the number of slams they win. You know, it might well be that he only wins one.
Yep.
And I don't mean to say only disparagingly. It's unbelievable to win a Grand Slam, and he's had an unbelievable career already. What will be from here. A lot of it will be out of his hands.
Too true. Plenty of good players haven't won one, haven't they?
Love 15.
The pattern has been a consistent one today. It has caused his opponent plenty of problems. Vulnerabilities in that forehand side, haven't we, as well? From Karatsev, definitely the slightly less reliable wing.
Well, it's been a bruising battle, highly entertaining. As we approach towards the 2-hour mark, Dominic Thiem 2 match points from a set down.
Thiem, 2 sets to 1, 6-7, 6-3, 6-2.
Excellent performance from the Austrian team. Had to withstand an almighty challenge from Aslan Karatsev, particularly in that first set, which Karatsev won on a tiebreak from 5-2 down. But Thiem had confidence in his game plan, and he rose to that challenge quite magnificently. And for a first match at a tournament, they're not going to get too much harder than that. But Thiem has come through it, and now sets up a quarter-final with Roberto Bautista Agut. It's not going to get any easier for him.
Yeah, good match that. Karatsev just not really able to keep the level going, but again, we certainly saw what he's capable of. Testing another top 10 player out here as he looks to build on that run down under, but Thiem certainly tactically got it pretty good today. And as you so rightly say, Jonathan, this is a loaded draw, and it is not going to get any easier from here on in.
Dominic, first of all, welcome back to Doha. That's your first look at Aslan, who was the surprise story in Melbourne. My question is, just how dangerous is he?
Well, to be honest, it's not my first match against him. We played in juniors 10 or 11 years ago, and he also practiced for a short while with us in Vienna. So we know each other, and we had some practice sessions, so it was not something completely new, but of course he was raising his level so much in the last 6 months, especially of course in Melbourne at the Australian Open. So it was super interesting to play against him, always exciting to play for the first time on the ATP Tour against somebody you never faced. So I enjoyed it a lot today.
This is our first chance at seeing you in the past couple of years. We need to congratulate you on the victory in September, capturing your first Grand Slam title at the US Open.
Thank you, thank you.
How special, how affirming was that victory over Sasha?
Well, it was so crazy, the whole victory. I mean, it was 4.5 weeks. It was the first tournament after Corona started, so kind of new for all the players in the biggest tennis stadium in the world without crowds. So that was very demanding, but well, finally I won my first majors after 3 final losses. So well, I fulfilled the biggest dream I ever had in my career, and that was the best moment I had so far in my tennis life.
Finally, the world is buzzing about tonight's next match. I'm curious, how excited are you for Roger's return?
I already said a couple days ago in the interview that I think every tennis player, also me, who is also kind of rival of him, we had a lot of great matches, a lot of big matches against each other, but still I'm also a fan of him. I love to watch him play.
Best of luck in the quarterfinals. Fans, let's hear it for Dominic Thiem.